All right, let's dive right into one of the biggest questions on everyone's mind right now. How is AI really going to impact our jobs? It's a topic that's, equal parts exciting and, let's be real, pretty nerve-wracking for a lot of people.
This is the question, isn't it? It feels like you can't escape it. The headlines are just full of stories about automation, about job cuts. And it's easy to feel like this massive, unstoppable change is just barreling towards us.
And look, this isn't just media hype. A whole lot of business leaders are actually betting on it. They're making huge decisions based on the idea that AI will replace jobs. But what the data is starting to show is a much more complicated and, frankly, way more interesting story.
So let's start with what's happening right now. We're calling it the AI layoff rush. Why is it that for so many companies, the very first instinct when they hear AI is to think about cutting staff?
Well, it really boils down to a few key pressures. First off, you've got intense pressure for a quick return on investment. Layoffs look good on a spreadsheet, fast. Second, truly changing how a company works, that's messy. It's complicated. It's often just easier to cut jobs than to redesign them. Then there's just a simple lack of vision. A lot of folks see AI as just a tool for automation, nothing more. And finally, you have the good old bandwagon effect. One competitor does it, and suddenly everyone else feels like they have to, just to keep up.
But here is the absolute kicker. This strategy, the one that seems so logical on the surface, according to the data, it's a strategy that is practically built to fail. And the numbers here are pretty wild.
Get this. A staggering 95% of corporate AI pilot programs, these are the big projects meant to test out all this new tech, they fail to produce any measurable financial return. Think about that. That means for every 20 companies that try this tech-first approach, 19 of them get nothing back for their efforts.
And this is leading to something people are starting to call AI regret. Over half of the businesses that jumped the gun and rushed into layoffs are now looking back and second-guessing that entire decision. Why? Well, it's pretty simple. They're realizing that the AI tools they have right now just can't replace the complex, critical thinking their human employees brought to the table.
So, if a strategy that's all about tech and layoffs is failing so spectacularly, what actually works? Well, it turns out the secret really comes down to one powerful number. And here it is. The real key to making AI work isn't just the software, it's all the soft stuff. A full 70% of what makes an AI initiative successful comes from getting the people, the processes, and the company culture right. The technology itself, that's only 30% of the entire equation.
This just paints a completely different picture, doesn't it? The common view is that you just buy the technology and poof, problem solved. But the proven reality is that the technology is just a tool. The real strategy, the part that actually makes or breaks it, is how you weave that tool into your teams and your workflows.
So what does a successful human-first approach actually look like in practice? The most powerful idea that's emerging is thinking of AI not as a replacement, but as a copilot.
This creates what experts call an augmented role. So think of it this way. AI isn't the pilot flying the plane. It's the co-pilot, handling the routine systems, checking the data. It takes care of all the repetitive, number-crunching tasks, which frees up the human pilot to focus on what we do best, critical thinking, creative problem-solving, and actually connecting with other people.
Let's look at a few real-world examples to make this concrete, starting with a field where that human touch is absolutely non-negotiable, healthcare.
The motto here is simple. AI assists, humans decide. A doctor can use an AI to analyze millions of patient records for patterns, but the doctor always makes the final judgment call. A nurse can offload all that tedious administrative work to an AI so they can spend more time on actual patient care. Or a radiologist can use AI to flag potential issues on a scan, but it's the human expert who makes the diagnosis. In every single case, it's about making the human professional better, not replacing them.
And this isn't just some niche thing happening in medicine. We're seeing this exact same copilot model transform roles all across the business world.
Again, the pattern is the same. AI analyzes, humans strategize. A lawyer can now use AI to sift through a mountain of case law in seconds, which frees them up to actually build a brilliant argument for the courtroom. An HR manager can automate the tedious part of screening resumes so they can focus on building a great company culture. The AI gives you the data, the human provides the wisdom.
Okay, so this all sounds fantastic in theory, right? But how do you actually make it happen inside an organization? Well, it means you have to intentionally build an AI-ready culture from the ground up.
And to see just how this works in the real world, let's look at a really fascinating case study of how IKEA navigated this exact challenge.
IKEA followed a pretty simple three-step plan. First, they rolled out an AI chatbot to handle all the routine customer questions. Where's my order? What are your store hours? And it was a huge hit, handling almost half of all inquiries. Now, the old playbook says the next step is layoffs, but IKEA did the exact opposite. They took all 8,500 of those employees and retrained them to become interior design consultants, ready to give customers high-value, personal advice.
And here's why that move was so brilliant. They literally transformed a role that used to be a cost center, just a department that costs money to run, into a profit center that actively generates new revenue by offering an expert service that customers absolutely love.
And the result? Just get ready for this. $1.4 billion in new revenue, all generated by that newly upskilled team. I mean, wow, this is exactly what happens when you invest in your people right alongside your technology. It's not just about saving a few bucks, it's about creating entirely new ways to create value.
So how can other companies copy this playbook? Well, it all starts with communicating a really clear vision. This is about making our team better, not replacing them. It means you have to actually invest in training people for new skills. And you've got to create a safe-to-fail environment where they can experiment. It also means you have to get your tech folks and your business folks talking to each other, and you need clear ethical rules from day one.
Which really leaves us with the final and most important takeaway. The future isn't about sitting around and waiting to see if AI is going to change your job. That train has already left the station. The real question is, what are you going to do to help shape that change? How will you use these tools to create more value, not less? That is the challenge, but it's also the massive opportunity for every single one of us.